Okay, so if you guys aren't new, or if you didn't go on the last track walk, we pretty much ended as we were exiting out of here, turn 5. I'm not gonna do the first half of the track, so go back to that video if you're curious on what you do before here. But really focusing on your exit out of this corner, right? Try to maximize all your straightaways. This is maybe half of the, I wouldn't say half of the front straightaway, but it is a little bit of a straightaway, right? So we want to come out of here, exiting hard, picking up the bike up early to accelerate out. Using this curbing, like if we walk up to this curbing, I think it's the FIM paint. If not, it works good. I use it every single lap, every single session, and I'm not all the way to the red, but I'm probably in this second part of the curbing. Well, what I focus on is I don't want to reach it too soon, right? When I exit the corner, I don't want to be on this part of the curbing. I want to be farther up, maybe starting to get on the curbing now or so. Maybe even this is a little early. And you see, like in order to do that, my trajectory, I have to pick up my bike very soon to get it to drive forward, right? I'm almost thinking to myself, again, if you watch the first video, like I want to reach the end of this curbing is my farthest point. And I know if I get on the gas soon enough, pick the bike up soon enough, accelerate hard, I'll be on the curbing and just finishing at the end.
So you stay on the curbing that long?
Yeah, fully
Straight from there.
Fully accelerated, yeah. And I'll get out to just about here. I don't want to go any farther. As you can see, it starts to get higher and higher as you go farther out. And feel the grip, right? Totally fine. Almost more than the track. So now my goal is to accelerate hard, stay fully on the gas, and now get to the other end of the track. And in order to be a little bit more efficient, right? I'm coming out of this corner. For me, I'm touching the curbing. I'm sitting up on the bike because I don't want to cross too far over. I'm already on, at that point, the right side of the bike. So it's not like I'm moving my butt again before I get into, this is turn 6. I'm not moving my butt again. I'm already over to the side. So I'm just using my hands to help me steer into the corner, get back over to the outside of the track, and turn into turn 6. So I'm not moving my butt around so much. It keeps, this track already has a lot of left and rights. So being efficient here, I know you guys aren't racing, but for me, right, over 20 laps is really important. So this corner is very similar to really anything else, right? Like if you enter, let's just say, what is this? 7 feet to the inside. Look how much tighter of a corner you have. And this is open. This is a high roll speed corner. So you need to carry as much speed as possible. If you're out to the edge of the track, right around here is pretty good. You have such a more open radius for your corner, and you can carry more speed. If you're in here, you're having to brake harder and turn earlier to try to make the corner. If you're out there, you can brake later with less pressure and carry more roll speed. And for this corner, try not to enter too early. I always think of it like I don't want to get too close to the curbing until it starts, right? Like I don't want to enter too soon to where my knee is over the grass right now. I want my closest point, more or less, where my knee is over the curbing, not over the grass. So I'm turning in late enough, not late, but you know, later, so that I can open this corner up. And I'm getting to the closest point right at this curbing. Does that make sense? Like I'm not turning in too soon to where I'm too close to the inside too early.
It's like you don't want to hit your apex until like almost where the cone is.
A little before that. I mean, this corner you kind of get to a point like I said, I'm getting close to the curb, right around this curbing, like right around where it starts in the first like 4, you know, I guess not 4 feet, but the 4 you know, lines.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of staying here for a second, letting the bike roll through the corner and picking up the throttle really early. So I wouldn't say so much it's a late apex that late, because if you're waiting so long to then get to the edge or the end of the curbing, like that late apex, you're not carrying enough speed.
So you're just riding the curbing like all the way pretty much?
A little bit, yeah. I come in and I get in right around like that 5th red line. You know, that's where I'm pretty close, and I'm staying close, carrying roll speed, and starting to pick up the throttle right as I get to this cone. Not so much getting close to the cone and then getting on the throttle. I'm getting on the throttle at the cone, being right here.
Are you on the curbing?
On the curbing or next to it?
Which are you?
I'm like right next to it, yeah. This corner, for me, I carry a lot of lean angle. So if I were to be on the curbing, I'd be tucking the front. So I'm accelerating really hard now. I've already picked up the throttle. Now I'm trying to get to full throttle. I'd probably be about full throttle almost right here. And I'm off the side of the bike. In a corner like this where you have a lot of lean angle, a lot of roll speed, it's very important to start picking up the bike at an advanced level. I don't want you on like a 400 trying to do this, but I'm just saying, picking up the bike, getting to full as soon as possible. Because if you're at a lot of lean angle and you go to full throttle, you're probably high side, so don't do that. Try to pick up the bike. So this curbing's a little deceptive. I wish it was 10 more feet longer, because I don't actually hit this curbing. I might hit like the last bit of it, but right on the paint. I don't even get on the curb. If I'm this far out when I'm exiting turn 7, right? Or this is turn 7? 6? Sorry, turn 6. I know I either got on the gas too early, I was too impatient, or I carried too much roll speed and again was too impatient. So it's one or the other. For me, again, right, I'm maximizing my straight line and the amount of time I can be at full throttle. So if I got on the gas too early, I'm having to chop off the throttle when I'm right here, because look how abruptly this ends, right? So I'm doing it to a point to where I can stay full throttle and my trajectory is still going forward. I'm not running out of track too soon. So, like I said, not really using this curbing, kind of maybe the last little bit, but not a lot at all. I'm literally right on the line and that's it. On a little bike, if you're on a 400, maybe you're using just a little bit more of this, carrying a little bit more roll speed, but if you're on a big bike, again, right, you're more of a point and shoot. So it's not as much reliant on all of this outside curbing. It's on the inside?
Yeah, it's on the inside.
Okay.
So that way it doesn't
The air?
a lot of air,
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, no problem. So in this corner, right, you're coming off a hard acceleration. This is a pretty hard braking corner, but look how much it opens up, right? It's not a 90 degree exactly, so you have to still carry roll speed. And the key to that is not turning in too early. I always see people here turn in too early, get pushed out way too wide on the exit, and now I'm coming under them in all of this long right-hander stuff, right? So I turn in, I do one downshift into here, and I start turning in kind of around this one board, right? Which right now might seem a little early, but at speed and not too hard of an entry, that's right about where I'm making that initial turn in from the outer edge of the track. If you're coming into here and you're already right here and you turn in at 1, you're gonna end up in the grass, right? But if you're using all the track and you turn in right around that spot, you'll start to carry that momentum and you won't find yourself turning in too early. The key here is kind of similar for me to that last corner, right? I want to be close to this curb, the closest to this curb, right when like this more elevated section starts. I don't want to be too early to where I'm touching it already. I want to be to the inside of the track, kind of right as I'm getting to this section. And look, it's banked, right? So it's gonna hold you into the corner if you're on the correct line. And you can kind of see, similar to what I said on the first track walk, when you're on the inside of the track on a correct line, you have way more banking than if you're out here even, right? It's less of a camber. So it's not gonna hold you in as well if you're offline. If you're online, it'll almost suck you into the corner a little bit better. So again, I'm getting on the gas pretty early out of here, and I don't want to drift all the way to this curbing. I want to be about just mid-track as I'm exiting, and then I'm going to start to actually tighten my lineup. So the farthest wide I'm going to get out here, it's right about here, honestly. I'm not getting any farther out than this. Hard acceleration. My goal in my head is I want to be full throttle as I'm going through here. Not feathering the throttle. I'm not saying all of you go full throttle, but I'm just saying that's my goal, is to make it to where if I'm out here, I'm having to keep turning the bike, and same if I'm too far inside, I'm having to make this a really, really tight corner. So if I'm kind of like in the middle right here, I get the best of both worlds. I don't have to make a very sharp turn, and I'm not all the way out trying to make up time. I'm still in the middle, and I can kind of regulate with my throttle how much angle I have as I'm going into, in rotation I should say, as I'm going into this braking zone. So that orange cone is a really good reference for me. I want to be, that's not only like around my brake marker, but that's where I want to be pretty close to the track, then sit the bike up, do my downshift brake, and then throw it back into the corner. I'm starting to tighten my line now as I'm getting closer to the orange cone. And I'm still on the gas. I'm trying as hard as I can to keep it, close to, I wouldn't say full throttle, but close, on the throttle, charging hard. Because you can lose a lot of time in this section if you're not on the gas hard, if you're kind of just waiting for the bike to turn. You kind of have to force the bike to turn a little bit with the throttle. And I'm starting again, right, to tighten my line. I want to be close to the curbing as I'm approaching this orange cone. And kind of think of this as two separate corners, and you're late apexing the end, right? You're double apexing the corner. I want to come into here, just past this cone, get on the brakes, be close to the inside of the track, get a downshift, and what that's going to do, because I'm on the brake lever and I'm carrying a lot of speed, is it's going to stand my bike up a little bit. I have to help it because obviously you don't want to be turning it on the brake lever, but it's going to push me out a little bit wider to about mid-track, still with brake pressure, and then what I have to do is I have to finalize the corner. I have to throw it in one last time to get the end of, what is this, turn 9? Turn 9. These lines are, or these corner worker stations are a little bit deceptive.
Yeah, not yet.
Is there any questions with that, right? Like coming into here about mid-track, hard acceleration, tightening it up just a little bit right by this cone, picking the bike up, getting your last bit of braking in, and then turning in again to finish the corner. Does that make sense? To everyone? Okay.
Yeah, so what, like coming up to here though?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you stand up, you're on the brakes.
Yep.
When you go back in, are you still trail braking into the corner at that point?
As I'm tipping in, yes, I'm still trail braking.
And then like, are you back on the throttle before the cone?
I am, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet, thank you.
So I try not to get out much farther than here. Like I don't want to be much farther out than midway, because in a race scenario that leaves a lot of room for someone to come under you. Also distance, right? Like if I take up all this distance, it's going to be one, harder for me to finish the corner, and then also I'm taking up more of the track, which is time, you know? Cool. So I try to stay right around this mid-track, using my trail braking to help me just get right back to the apex. And I'm not there yet. I try to wait till I'm about halfway between the beginning of this curbing and that orange cone to start really getting back to the farthest inside point, the apex of the corner. And this corner is a lot of patience, guys. Like I see so many people get on the gas so hard out of here, and then they're pushed all the way to the edge of the track, and they're not setting up for this next corner. So for me, I'm just about getting back to the inside of the track again. And I'm might be on the throttle just a little bit, but it's maintenance throttle. Like I'm just to get my momentum going again. That way I'm not in between brakes and gas, right? When you're not on the brakes and you're not on the gas, your bike doesn't know what to do. So I just got off the brake lever. I'm back on the gas again, and I'm not hard on the gas till I get to about this orange cone. Because if I started to get on the gas hard, I'm drifting all the way to the edge of the track, and I'm not going to be able to set up for this next corner. So I come through here, now I'm starting to get up on the gas hard. For me, I'm using the rear to help me turn the bike a little bit so that I don't really get into this corner straight, right? Like I kind of want to keep turning just a little bit as I enter. This is turn 10. As I enter turn 10, so I hit the backside of this this first little section of track. So again, right? You don't want to be out here. You're having to slow down more as you enter. If you're out just a little bit more, this is way more open, and you can carry a lot more roll speed as you're entering this turn 10 section. So that corner is all about patience. This whole section really is about patience. You're like, wait, okay, am I gonna turn? Is it gonna keep turning? Okay, now I get to the brakes, I turn. All right, now I have to wait a little bit when I get on the gas. Okay, I can use a little bit of that momentum to help me turn into this next corner. And now I'm finally starting to throw the bike in hard, just to get right to the inside, just for a split second, not for long. Getting right about here and letting my momentum drift me out just a little bit. Carrying my momentum, it's going to push me out just to about here. And again, I don't want to drift any farther out than this, because we've seen it in racing, how many times people try to go up the inside of you when you're coming through turn 10. And the reason they can do that is because you have to be so patient in this corner, right? Think about it this way. Your straightaway starts as soon as you get on the throttle in this corner. That's when your straightaway starts. So this is the most important part of the track, this corner, and how you get through this last little section. That is your most important place and where you can gain the most amount of time. So for here, the reason people can go under you is because you're just waiting, you're being patient, and then when you get the you know, your optimal direction at the end of the corner, that's when you really pick up the throttle and start accelerating hard. You don't want to come into this corner on off throttle. Very slow maintenance throttle all the way through, and try not to get it to where even if it's a few percent on and off, try to keep it consistent all the way around. Cool. So it's drifting me out. So when I get on the throttle out of turn 9, I'm on the throttle and then I let off the throttle, maybe just a little bit of brake, just barely, and then I'm back on the throttle again through this section, just little bit of maintenance. Staying right around here, you know, to the inside of the track, but just a little bit off the inside curbing.
At what point do you start adding a few percentages of throttle as you're coming out of it?
So at right about this point, I'm starting to give it just a little bit more, feed it a little bit, but I'm looking at this cone every single lap, and when that cone starts to really align with the bridge is where I try to get to full throttle. I'm trying to get the bike to finalize that spin and pick up and get to full throttle. And then that's when I really start initiating. When I actually get to full is probably right around now. Like now I've actually picked it up and it's starting to like drive forward. Before you're still kind of turning, so you can't get it all the way, but
Both bikes, the Super Sport and the big bike?
yeah, both bikes. And at the end of this, right, we were sitting just about 2.5 feet off the inside of the curb. Now that we're exiting, we want to be just a little bit closer to the end of the curb because it's the same as every corner here, right? It's kind of those late entrances, late exits, so it's the same thing, right? If I'm out here, I can only be on full throttle for so long before I reach the edge of the track. If I'm on this side, I can be on full throttle way longer and likely all the way through this section.
Will you still do that on like an SV?
SV, I would carry a little bit more mid-corner speed.
Oh,
I might drift out just a little bit more,
okay.
but I still would get back to the inside of the track for sure. Maybe drift out just a little bit more on exit, but not by much because you still have to hustle the thing around in this section and you want to make that easy for yourself.
What times are you doing it?
With a Super Sport?
Yeah.
On race bikes, we do 23s, 22s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to get a comparison
Yeah.
of what you're saying.
Very similar to what you're doing.
Just a couple seconds.
Yeah. If I was going that fast, I'd probably turn the way you said too, but
In these curbs, right, it's the same thing. You don't want to turn in too early because you run out of track too soon. So I'm kind of looking again to these cones. They're in pretty decent places, and I want to be close to the curbing in these spots. Getting on the gas hard and trying to stay full throttle all the way through the section. On big bikes, you can, I mean, on little bikes it makes sense too, but you can really get either right next to it or just on these curbs. They're pretty good. So if you want to try it, you can. It's nothing to really be intimidated about. Your tires are big enough and you're not going to get into like a death wobble for it, but yeah, just on the edge of it, just close to it if you're not too comfortable, but just on the edge of it. And it makes this more of a straight line. That's kind of what you want to do here. The straighter it can be, really for everything, right? The longer you can be to full throttle. And I'm late apexing again, like kind of this last little left-hander here, because I want to be able to open up the last corner, which again is like one of the most important corners on the track, leading onto a long straightaway. Same as the first curb, you can just get onto it if you want. It helps straighten out the line, and the curbs are perfect here. The paint is great. Don't worry about it at all. If you run it over, it's like running over a sealer patch. It's just as bad. So try to keep all of that full throttle if you can from your exit of turn 10 all the way through this, because it's really important. Like, you can lose so much time by getting off of the throttle in between the transition too. Like, I talked about it on the first track walk, but the more you can use your throttle to carry you over in your transitions, like, you get on the throttle, what does the bike want to do? It wants to stand up. So if you're using the throttle, you're already getting halfway through a transition. So it's already helping you. So try to carry that throttle, and it'll help you turn the bike in these hard, fast transition spots. And into this last corner, we don't want to turn in too soon, right? Because it's fast, and you can run out of track really, really early. For me, I'd say kind of a good reference to turn in is right about the bridge or the cone. Either one is pretty decent. And on my bikes, just breathing the throttle a little bit. No brakes, just breathing it for a split second and right back to full.
Same thing on the V4?
Yeah, yep.
No brakes?
No brakes.
What do you mean by breathing?
Just
Let off a hair.
letting off the throttle, maybe on a V4 completely, on the V2 just a little bit, maybe to like 10%, and then right back on to full. So by the time, when I'm right around here, I've already, let off the throttle just a little bit, and now I should have my direction right. I can see I haven't turned in too early. I know exactly where I'm gonna end up, so I'm already pretty much back to full throttle. I kind of, just to initiate my turn in, it helps me and get the bike pointed in the direction I want. And by getting on the gas so early out, again, I'm using the rear tire a little bit to help me just finish the corner and get onto the straightaway. Your drive starts here again, right? Like, your drive starts there, but your final drive, where your top speed is, starts here. So try to get on the gas as soon as possible with the right direction out of this corner. Really open it up, guys. Like, don't turn in too early or find yourself in the middle of the track coming into here, because it is scary. Yeah, it's high speed, but if you open up the track more, you're gonna find yourself with a lot more room for error, and it's not gonna seem as fast maybe. When you cut your track in half, it seems faster, but if you use all of it, you're gonna have a lot more room and feel a lot more secure in the track. And then from here, I'm not getting to the curbing until the very end. Just the very end of the curbing is what I clip, and that's it. If you're touching the curbing a little earlier than that, then good luck, because you'll probably run off the track. So try not to do that. Try just to aim for the end of the curbing, just to get closest to that point there. You don't really need to go out onto it. It's not super necessary here. If the curbing again was like 10, 15 feet longer, I would say, yeah, use it. But because it's so short and you're gonna run out of time to get back off the curbing, you don't really need to use it that much. Just to the paint, really. Just get to the paint and not onto the curb exactly. So, does that make sense? Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, no problem. That's it. Yeah, no problem.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Now's the time.
Everybody should set a track record now.
Yeah, exactly.